Yeah.
Awesome. That's what I was thinking when it came to us, me, and what we do as the HBC. I will explain who we are in a second. Is we work with influencers mainly. We have two communities, one of influencers and one of startups. And influencers, which I will briefly explain also who they are people that actually will support and have supported loads of people when it comes to like lifestyle changes. It just makes sense. Influencers are people that, by the name of it, influence you to change something in your life. Now, I've been working with influencers and bloggers for over 5 years, and I was thinking, like, what defines an influencer that I want to work with? What defines an influencer that's going to make an impact, aka the name of the book and what our company is about. Now, hold on. And this is where I wanted to get the right angle. Yay! So this is pretty much who I am. My name is Fab, yes, and I founded the HBC and Whole Influence. And all we basically do, we want to help people making a better impact in health and wellness. This is what I've done for years and years and years. The HBC was my first baby, and it had over 3,000 influencers from all over the world. And I wanted to give them something back by asking them what makes them tick. And by asking some of them, the ones that you will count as, I call them the highly influential people, because they are the people that have very successful projects, book deals, products and booths, you name it. These people are my highly influential people, and what makes them tick more than the social influencers? So the other guys that you see on Instagram sharing pictures of porridge. So, which is all good, well and groovy. So the book, the research itself, to give you an idea, which I'm drawing my talk from, is 1,500 influencers, and 500 of these were highly influential people. I came up with 8 habits, and thankfully they proved me wrong on 2, which means I'm onto something. There was loads of studies and papers and books just to tell you that. I try to also see, because I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, so I was like, what does this mean? And I go into the rabbit hole, which is great. And I was really humbled by the fact that the community loved it and so many people loved it, because it meant that some of them wanted to really make a bigger impact. What they really wanted to do objectively was to get the message heard in a better and more efficient way, because they had something to say. So what I thought I would do, trying to keep it nice and nice, that's a little baby book, as I call it, because it felt like a baby book. What I found really interesting from our study with Whole Influence, which is the kind of more agency style side of my company, I suppose, which works with health and wellness startups, we saw that by doing a research with brands in this case, people that actually call themselves influencers have grown by 140% in the last 2 years. And we're counting on people that have mainly an Instagram or social account as well as bloggers. So it has grown. Some people call themselves influencers as their job title. So we're getting somewhere with that. One of the things that I found interesting with the habits was, oh, there you go, that's a lot of habits. Well, no, get back! Okay, and this, there you go. So the 6 habits kind of like explain to you what people are doing that is different. One of the things that I would like to say when it comes to the influencers is that what they do really well, which a lot of brands that we have worked with struggle with, is just crafting really good stories. Whether it's visual, whether it's like actually, you know, writing, the stories are what gets people tick. Because at the end of the day, what I find is that when you get a really strong why, so I get my hand in a lot, which means when you refine your mission, you will understand which story you're trying to tell. So one of the things that I find that highly influential people have is they really know what they're doing, and 90% of the time money is a bonus that allows them to go to the holidays, to actually make a living and pay rent. A lot of these people, again, I have people like Asa Wallace, known as the food medic. Their mission is very much linked to, funnily enough, something that helped with their own health, or their parents, or their family, or their friends. There's a really strong connection with the way that we feel. And I find that the audiences of these people really relate to that sort of feeling of, I also want to feel that way, or I want to make this change in my life. So objectively, the influencers are really shaping the way we see our health. And the ones that are really successful in that respect are the ones that can give you some solutions. Because it's all nice and groovy to figure out what the problem, which is what I call the A, is. How do we get to B? And this is where, by using stories, a lot of influencers, are influential people I suppose as well, allow you to get inspired, and they give you suggestions without really preaching, which is a very smart thing to do. The second habit was diversify your portfolio, which I find really interesting on an influencer perspective, which means they are starting to realize that you might know that when I say influencers, you think people that partner with brands. Influencers, sorry to use the, always have the little marks, but influencers don't do just that anymore. The most successful ones do have a brand. They have books, they have products, they have lines, they have events. They have some sort of different things they do, and this can also work as a startup. They also are starting to realize that they shouldn't bank only on one platform or on one avenue. So a lot of them, even if they have a really strong Instagram account, they have quite a good newsletter, they might have a really well-populated website. You know that you need to be able to diversify because you never know what's going to throw at you, like algorithms, and it can be literally anything. Remember, you own a few things on the internet, and definitely Instagram and Facebook accounts are not what you own. I find that diversifying portfolio was actually one of the two. I'll let you guess which one is the other one. The massive diversity that we got between the highly influential people and the social influencers. Some of these things were quite similar, the surveys were really similar. And I could find also the answers were really similar. This one was a big one. They realized that they needed to dip toes in different things, do something really well, and then think, okay, what else can I do? So again, in the book I go on actually a bit of the strategy that they use, but to give you an idea, is a big habit. Credibility is pretty new. If you have been in health and wellness for a couple of years, you know that people are starting to think a bit more about what they read online, and as an influencer you have some sort of responsibility. And one of the things that are interesting is that you need expertise, but if you don't have that much expertise or you don't want to become a doctor necessarily tomorrow, trustworthiness is another strong element that makes into credibility. So if you can get trusted by your audience, which is the reason why people would buy Pip and Nuts, which by the way I said to Pip is in the book because I was thinking about them straight away. If you get, I know, but if you get Pip and Nuts nut butter and you see it, like, you know, some of our influencers, they might talk about it because they think it's a really good product. It tastes nice, it's simple, it tastes great. You will, because of the trustworthiness, that's what kind of makes influencer marketing ROI so strong in that respect. You wrote actually in your presentation, which I like, is the fact that you don't want necessarily the experts, you don't want the polished, you want something you can relate with. And these people you can relate with a bit more because they show their human side more than others would. Now, there is another one, which is number 4, which is my favorite, one is Pierce, which is nurture your community. That's my favorite thing. And as a brand, it might be a bit almost a bit harder in a way that I find a lot of brands that we work with when it comes to the consulting or our network. They are posting, creating great visuals, but engaging is still a problem. Influencers know that they have to engage, know that in order to grow they need to talk to people, and most of the times they find a community they can fit in before they create their own. But a lot of influencers now do have their own community, which is basically imagine the people that buy their books, go to their events. It's those 1,000 famous fans that everybody knows. I find that nurturing your community is one of the most important things that influencers do really well, and you find that some highly influential people actually that don't have the best quality of content on a visual aspect. They have the most engaged community. They're the people that will DM, you know, people that actually ask them questions throughout the day. I think that's where I talk about boundaries as well, which comes at the end, to be honest. Now, as I said, if you remember, 2 habits are the ones that are more psychically different between the 2 groups. Learning is a big one. Highly influential people, so these kind of influencers, really commit to and invest into their learning a lot more than others. And I think this kind of also shows you these people tend to be more trusted by brands, which is really interesting. Because we want to get better, because we want to get more well, we're going to try and find people that we think can help us more with what we need. So influencers are actually getting a bit more specific about what they talk about. They're niching down on what they're passionate about, and they're trying to provide you with the best possible support and advice. This is why some of these highly influential people are also represented a bit by big brands, because they know the limitations and they can actually provide a well-rounded support. I think holistic and personalized are 2 big things that are happening. Personalized for sure, but also holistic. So by seeing somebody's story and by seeing somebody's life, you get an holistic idea of how their health is kind of shaping up and how their life is shaping up. It's just more reassuring. It feels less like looking at people's bums on Instagram. It's well and groovy, but it's not passing it anymore. Not that it was before, but... last one is actually self-care isn't selfish. And this is something that is interesting as a trend, and I think is what is happening next when it comes to us highly functional type A people. Type A person right here. Delegating, automating, and simplifying is such a priority, and it should be for you if you're a brand, especially if you're like a 1-2 people shop. Please either delegate, think about automating, or simplifying. but also influencers are realizing that this is under their side project or is their full-time project now. And they're learning the importance of saying no, the importance of delegating and automating, which also means if you want to engage with any of these people, I didn't do a show of hands on how many of you are actually brands, but I suppose most of you anyway, that if you want to work with some influencers or somebody who has this kind of like relevance online, you will realize that they're a bit more picky than what it used to be. Even if it's just like a free shot of, you know, of apple cider vinegar, which was lovely. But it's different. Things are changing. Like time is actually the most precious currency we have. Money is great. Again, I said it. But time is such a precious thing that, first of all, we see everybody's talking about digital detoxes and managing our time better. But also, especially for influencers, they realize that they can appear very healthy, but they're always stressed and busy. And so we're finding it within our community and also our high influential people. There's more and more talk about how to find that balance. And it's not about the balance of eating a donut and an avocado and an apple. It's the balance of actually taking the time off work. I had this thing about, there's a little anecdote. I was talking about reclaiming your day off, which is a big campaign that we have going on, just related to a new study that I'm doing. And one of my influencers just DM'd me and she was like, I cannot think about taking a day off my Instagram in a month. It's like, I can't, I physically can't. And then I was talking to somebody else and they said like, yeah, it actually gives me anxiety. From then, which was about beginning of last year, then things have changed, but a lot of people then I asked, and yeah, it can actually feel quite, you know, quite anxious, and they're realizing that that is the balance that they're looking for, is being able to be online, engaging, communicating, but also being able to be offline. So if you want to see what's coming up, you will see that it's going to be pretty much what has been shaping this habit is what people are doing really well. And I think the self-care kind of like buzz and trend is going to turn into more about how can we actually optimize, but also biohack our time in a way. But anyway, I'm really thankful that I have these things on because I'm Italian, so usually I would do this. I was warning Josh earlier, I would just be like, but I'm not today, which is great. I know there might be questions at the end, so if you have any questions later, let me know. I hope I try to give a bit of an insight of how influencers actually work. And one of the things I want to say is that I help brands and influencers who really want to make an impact, and it's one of the most powerful things that you can do. These people really want to change people's lives because they know that it makes them feel better. So I think this is what's going to happen. Less influencers, less people necessarily that are just posting it for the sake of it. More people that are doing it because they have a strong mission and want to help others. So I'm hoping that this is how we're getting more well. That I cannot tell yet, but yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. I might show my face in a second again if it works. Oh yeah. So yeah, as I said, it's now a job title and you should definitely tap into the power of persuasion if you want. It's a great thing that you can do for yourself, for your brand, and for others. Just do it for the right reasons, which is all I bang on. And I'm really grateful that my community understands that. I think that is that. If I do it again, I'll just try to find the right angle. I'm going to lounge. Right, any question, let me know. If not, thank you so much.